worm composting today and how to set up a very inexpensive worm composting bin. This is a commercial bin. It's one that you can buy. You pay quite a bit for it. The nice thing about it is it comes in stages. It's got the drain portion down below, all right, with a spigot. Then it's got your first tray. And what you do with this is put your kitchen scraps into that worm bin, mix it in with some shredded paper and a little bit of moisture. But the thing about the commercial bin is you can take a second, I've got worms sitting there, you can take a second bin that's got holes in it, all right? When this one gets full, you just take your second one, put it in, keep it going. Put your kitchen scraps, put your newspaper in there, and the worms will actually migrate up. So at some point down the road, you would remove this one, you'd have all the worm castings, and that can go out to your garden, go out to, enhance your soil wherever you're doing that. And then drop this one in, and they just keep getting swapped out. But the worms migrate up. It's got a nice top that goes with it. That's the commercial. One of the things about this, is you've got a spigot for your worm tea. Go ahead and turn that on, and that worm tea is extremely nitrogen rich. You don't want to put worm tea directly on the plants. You want to dilute it to about 1 to 10. 1 part worm tea to 10 parts water, all right? And that's probably the best mix that you can do. Now, this thing costs, I forget, it's about 110 bucks for the whole setup. You can do the same thing with containers, all right, that you can pick up at any Target, anywhere along like that. What you want to do for this is you want 2 containers like this. Don't get them any bigger. I forget how many quarts these guys say they are. Does it say 10 gallons? Don't get them any bigger than this. I made the mistake early on of getting real big ones, and they can't be moved. They can't be lifted. You want to provide some distance off the bottom. Leave your bottom one solid. Don't drill any holes. You want to provide, and the PVC pipe here helps hold the bins so that they don't squish down too much. You want that space to be able to have the worm tea totally separate and drip out. Your top bin, you're going to cut some holes in the top. You want the worm composting needs the oxygen. If it doesn't have oxygen, you end up with bacterial anaerobic fermentation going on. You get all sorts of nasty smells. The worm bin itself, if you do it, is not going to smell if you do it correctly. Drill some large holes into the bottom of that. When you start your worm bin, a single sheet of wet newspaper over those holes will keep your worms from dropping down. You can go ahead and put them in. Start with 1 handful of soil over that single sheet of newspaper. The handful of soil gives a little bit of grit for your worms. They need the grit in their gizzard to be able to grind up the organics that they're going to be eating. So then you do your mix, and I'll show you the mix in a minute, of newspaper with kitchen scraps. Put your worms in. You've got a bin started, and you can do the same thing that we just talked about. I've got a bin here that's been going for quite a while, all right? And what you can do is, using that same pattern that you get with the commercial bin, go ahead and pop this in there. The worms will migrate up through that, and you can start your second bin. This one's a little bit late. I got it a little bit high and should have done it a little while back. All right? Do me a favor. Go into where I keep the worm bins and grab, there's a bag of shredded newspaper already in there. It's that first door. It's a garbage bag of shredded newspaper, and then grab me a 5-gallon bucket that doesn't have a hole. So what I'm going to show you right now is just mixing up that kitchen scraps and layering it with the newspaper, with the brown. All right, provides the brown material that they need, along with what's called the green waste. The green waste is the kitchen waste. So we've got This is super shredded. Grab me. You still got my keys? Grab me the one that's not super shredded. This is one. I put this newspaper through a shredder, and I use this with my earthworms. All right, and break this up. It actually provides the air spaces in the soil, and it gives it a whole lot better for keeping my earthworms that I keep in the refrigerator to actually feed other organisms. But for my composting worms, 1-inch rips of paper. All right, 1-inch shreds of paper is all you need, and put those into a bucket. Give them a little bit of water. Not too much water. Stir it around and mix it up. The idea is to keep the papers loose. All right, a lot of air spaces in between. Okay, I told you how to set up the bin. What I'm going to do is keep this bin right here going, and I'm just going to throw in more waste. You can see some of the scraps. First of all, students around, any smell? No. Can you smell anything? No. The only place that you get some smell, sometimes a little bit with the worm tea, sometimes with what I've done in the back, and that's going to be really bad. You'll hear my students are reacting in a minute. I throw eggshells in there. The worms don't eat the eggshells, but they get broken up when I throw this into the garden, and that helps out. Some things take a little bit longer to break down than others. This is a corn cob. It takes a little while to break down, but most of the rest of the stuff, this is an avocado, and they can't get through. You look at the worms feeding in the avocado down there. The worms do not eat the avocado skin. All right, they also aren't going to eat the pit, but they are definitely going after the avocado, and there's just a nice concentration. I don't think anything else in there is recognizable. Now, for your waste, what you want to do, I keep a container in the kitchen, all right, that we just throw our green waste into. The waste that you want to put in here is any vegetable matter at all can go in. You cut broccoli, the ends of the broccoli, the ends of a carrot, if you're chopping stuff off, all of that green waste can go in. You don't want to put any fats, oils, meat products. Keep bread to a minimum. You can put bread in, but don't put too much in. And the other thing that you can put in, citrus, you can put in fruits, apple cores, all that. Citrus, I've been told to keep it to a minimum, but I've never had a problem with it. Now, if you leave this in here too long, and it starts to bacterially break down, that is going to smell. All right, and this is where the issue is, and because it takes me a while to get to this point, that's where I screw up. I apologize for the smell for my students right now. You've got a little bit of mold, you've got banana peels. It actually is a real citrusy smell, so there are oranges. You can see the carrots. Coffee grounds go in there, and all of that. We're going to throw this on so that, wow, the smell is bad. Okay? Now, what we do is we take our loose newspaper, and what you want to do is just kind of loosely spread that all over the top. Does a couple of things. One is if you have let it go too long in the container, a sealed container, what it will do is it will suppress that smell a little bit, keep that down in there. Again, this is a little bit too wet. You do not want it dripping. So shake it out, spread it around. Remember, you don't want it packed too tight because air is important. The other thing that the newspaper does is it keeps the fruit flies from starting in there, especially if you've got an indoor one going. It keeps the fruit flies. Sometimes maintaining moisture, you can go ahead and throw a little bit of plastic over the top. And I do that with some edging there just to maintain a little bit more moisture level before I throw my top on. All right? And that's how you set up a composting worm bin. Do you guys have any questions?
Did you say they're not earthworms?
No, these are Ensentina fotata. I may have that right. It's close. These are what are called red wigglers. And you can order the red wiggler worms from a whole lot of different places. You order them a pound at a time. A pound is about 1,000 worms. All right, that's enough to get a huge bin started. Or you can find out from your master gardeners. A lot of times they'll have contact with people who give you a little starter culture of worms, and that's all you need to get started. The advantages of composting is you're not putting this stuff into the landfill where it is going to break down anaerobically. It is going to generate methane gas, the greenhouse gases. Here, you're doing it with aerobic breakdown, with oxygen, and you don't generate those greenhouse gases as that's broken down. Plus, you get the tremendous benefit of the worm castings, which are one of the best fertilizers you can get, and the nitrogen worm tea that you can go ahead and spray into your garden. So there are some big advantages that you have with it. There are a lot of people who keep these in their apartments, under kitchen counters, out on their balcony. You know, you don't need a whole lot of space. Got to keep them out of the sun. They like cool. All right, so garages are a perfect spot. I keep mine, for many years I kept it right here in the classroom. Not a problem. I keep mine right now in the back room. So any other questions? All right, that's it.